Now, Mr. Tyagi, Vigyan Prasar is playing a yeoman's role, let me tell you, in proliferation of science because not just from now, since Doordarshan days, since we were kids, all these events, even a meteor passing by, there used to be shows and very clear concepts on science and all these extra terrestrial celestial bodies. I could not help but mention Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan, former chairman ISRO's comment to Mr. Vajpayee. Mr. Vajpayee said, Mr. Vajpayee said the mission should be called Chandrayaan and not Somyan, as the country has emerged as an economic power and will make many exploratory journeys to the moon. This is what the vision of the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was. Over the years, Mr. Tyagi, how have we evolved when it comes to acceptance of science as part and parcel of our life, and how receptive has been the society in general, if I may ask you, to matters like these?
I think the most visual example which has been the initiative which has been taken by the Vigyan Prasar in since last 25 years is that celestial event which we call it a solar eclipse. Okay,
Right.
so you remember even the Doordarshan has shown one film, so the people should remain inside the houses. Nobody should come and watch it. But
True,
now
true.
I think we are having that solar eclipse tourism. People are coming to the belt of totality and watching it. Vigyan Prasar has distributing that solar filter where the intensity of the light has been reduced by 1 lakh times. So you can see through those filter the eclipse with the softness like a moon. So this is, and there is you can see now people are on the roads. People are going to the belt of totality where you can see the total solar eclipse. And so this is one change which I see from, superstitions to, that festive look to such celestial event. So that way the society has been progressing. The scientific temperament, which we generally talk about, people start analyzing and defying those myths and superstitions which are associated with these kinds of event. And the way this Chandrayaan, the enthusiasm which it has created, because almost all the media is now covering, even before the event, and it will remain, a very live issue till the time we on 24 or 23rd or 20 August, when the final stage of the landing will come. So this is you can say a marker or indicators of the progress of the society, where the scientific event has been seen as a part and parcel of, and where you feel enthusiastic about science itself and your achievement. Because now this is a time for the technology. Your each and every aspect of life is, influenced or governed by science and technology. If we don't have that understanding, if we'll not go with that, that means we are not moving ahead with the time. So this is one example where people are coming out of their, houses and watching the eclipse in a safe way, because
Right.
you don't have to watch it by naked eyes. But the lot of devices and methods are available. We, as in Vigyan Prasar, we have been popularizing those methods. Even if you don't have a filter, even then how safely you can watch these kinds of events. And not only that, we have covered events like Transit of Venus, in 2004, and then again in 2012, it became a national festival,
Right.
astronomical festival. So, and this is like creating an interest in astrophysics, astrobiology among our youngsters, because if we have to take up the space, technology in a big way, we need a constant supply of our human resource also in terms of scientists. So this all is towards that, creating that science and technology is a part and parcel of our normal life. It is not something that it is not for you or for me. It is for everybody.
Right,
It's like
right.
that.
Right. Mr. Raju, obviously, needless to say, the way science and technology is shaping our lives more so, today than ever. this is something which is a very coveted space, and I remember in young students also, IIT aspirants, aerospace is something that is being treated as one of the coveted topmost, even ahead of mechanical and computer science. This is how we have learned and grown up listening to. In your opinion, sir, as of now, India, over the period of years, irrespective of the leadership, has made big strides when it comes to aerospace and science and technology and space research. What is it that India needs to build from here on, say for another 20 years, a futuristic plan that would keep the momentum going on, in your view, sir?
Yes, you have hit the right point of the today's youngsters, engineering students, particularly aerospace. Currently, I am a professor, visiting professor in aerospace in the Jain University, and I teach these kind of targets, what ISRO wants to do. And there are lots, I'm very happy to announce here that many of my students have been able to have their own startups. Even during COVID time, to mention a few examples, they have converted the lab when the movement was restricted. They have converted the lab, they have converted the garage or home into a small lab. Of course, I told them be careful about explosive things being used. That apart, that is the enthusiasm with which today's students are coming forward. I am sure many more startups recently in the startup, one of the conclaves that was held around Bangalore, I could see more than 100 startups looking for participating in the development of small satellites, nano satellites, and also this ISRO also is encouraging such things by giving some limited amount of support. And this is a trend in the universities and colleges, which should be further amplified. And people have, the universities have come forward in many cases to support financially as well as organizing many workshops and conferences to further for the next, I should say, in the next 5 years. Certainly, ISRO or India will have number of startups from enthusiastic aerospace, mechanical, of course. Mechanical also is having a part of very major role in this, particularly aerospace, electronics, AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning is the talk of the day. So, for
Right.
example, let us look at the Chandrayaan itself. When it when we lose communication or contact with the moon, we cannot do much on ground. So
Right.
you have to make built-in software or make the satellite intelligent to decide on its own instead of depending on the command from the ground. Because there is no time, the time taken is to send a command or investigate what's happening is not possible because the distance of the moon, 3 million kilometers. And so everything should be, the intelligence has to be built into the system itself, into the
Right.
satellite, so
Right.
that it carry on forward without any hurdle. So this is what is the trend today. And as you can also see, the students, the admissions are very well going on for these two particular, branches, aerospace as well as AI and ML. And we are in the right direction, and the students and the parents and the universities are catching up. And I'm sure in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll have, we have already have people who are able to launch not only satellite making the satellites or payloads, they are able to make launch vehicles as proven in some of the recent missions. So this is what
Right.
I expect to catch up, and there's a lot of value. Some of the international agencies are asking for data from some of these not ISRO kind of data, but startup agencies. And I'm very happy, and I'm seeing the trend be very positive. And also in my own personal experience, the enthusiasm to work in a project related to space is humongous.
Right.
Everybody wants to work. So I should say that though there is no scope to really make everyone get into places like ISRO, there are enough support given by ISRO to build small startups, to give encouragement. In fact, ISRO will allow, if I remember, the latest one is they allow if they are within the dimensions or power or mass, there will be free launch. There will be free launch for the universities. And this is a very good, important encouragement being given to the universities and even for the startups. Still, some of the components which are very difficult to get, like thermal or maybe some solar panel related, hardware. So hardware will be given to some extent, but they will
Right.
also allow you to help. They'll also allow the student or the startup to go and test, because testing a satellite at university level or a startup
Right.
company may be difficult. So
Right.
that open-hearted, open, I should say, welcome is there from the ISRO for permitting the students to come and use their facility. These are all some of the very, very important support being offered by ISRO.
Right. Mr. Tyagi, let me bring you in here. Mr. Raju has highlighted very crucial aspect of nurturing the talent right from the word go. We make institutions of higher learning. We have students with potential. They go to the universities in their research labs. This time around, sir, all I want to ask from you is, when it comes to startups, and Government of India has been paying special attention to startups in aerospace. Down south, we are seeing lots of educational higher institutions of higher learning are indulging into it. We have IIT Kanpur also developing a lab in collaboration with GE, as I gather. As far as the research is concerned, how important it is from the government's point of view to actually work and shape and provide them with the necessary equipments and the wherewithal that Mr. Raju mentioned. We have seen that there have been tie-ups with the United States also, as far as artificial intelligence is concerned and semiconductors are concerned. How are we going to achieve that? What is the road ahead? Mr. Tyagi. You'll have to unmute yourself, sir, I believe.
I think from my side it is on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
audible
Please
now?
carry on. You're
Yeah.
audible. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I think we have a huge, infrastructure in terms of science and technology. Our universities, colleges, and there is a Department of Science and Technology which has been, further looking after to increase the infrastructural facilities beside creating the manpower. So all scheme are more in the nature of promotional beside doing that R&D also. So one aspect is already there. We have a good manpower, very good infrastructure, and now it's a question of priority, because the and technology scenario is changing every day. Now if we
Right.
look at the latest trend, if we look at in the space, in USA also most of the work, the because their cost is high, because this research or this equipment supply is done by the private sector. But we are, like ISRO has done everything, assembled everything in-house. So that's why one thing is that it make our entire venture, entire mission very cost effective as compared to if we see from the other countries, especially USA. So the government role will remain important in terms of because science and technology is still startup is more a developing into a technology or into a product. But the basic science, which give you, the branches for numerous startup, ha- for their main route will remain our R&D institutions. So supporting the basic research over which that can be different, that if that knowledge will come in a public domain, so a lot of startup will come up. So it's like creating, because earlier we never had a culture of startup. Any research which is done, it is lying only as a report. But now it start coming out of those. Besides publishing those 3-4 paper for your PhD, now the things are coming. Those are the new tech or new science or new knowledge which has been developed. The efforts are there to convert it into a product now, so or into a technology. So this change we see since last a few year, or you can say since the this our new government has come because of these initiatives, especially like it is the startup promotion. It cannot be done in isolation. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be the backup of the fresh R&D, fresh ideas. I'll
Mm-hmm.
give you an example. Just now I'm in Ahmedabad, and
Mm-hmm.
here this a competition evaluation is going on robots. So I have
Mm-hmm.
seen the students from our NITs, IITs, different colleges, and even school. They have coming out with different kinds of robot, and with
Mm-hmm.
the which can be used, which can perform different function. And there was a category which was about this the rovers also. So now suppose if
Mm-hmm.
somebody, so you have actually diversified the base of research in terms of when we say the startup, because when you start any startup, you have to starting with the mathematical modeling, and then a prototype, and finally a commercial product. So it's a again, a lot of R&D is involved, which is in a way, in a decentralized way, we have expanded our base for R&D as well, which are actually utilizing those basic science to convert into a technology. So I think this kind of change in the next few more years, we will see more visibility. It's already going on, but
Mm-hmm.
that visibility of, because when the product will start coming out,
Mm-hmm.
so we'll see more such the you can say the effort is bearing its fruit that
Right,
way.
right. Mr. Raju, one final word from your side, sir. Obviously, a momentous day is approaching, and needless to say, all eyes would be on it. For the scientific community, including Mr. Tyagi and you, let me very quickly share with you a very small anecdote that happened with me only. I was traveling through train to my home one year, I remember maybe 5, 6 years ago. And the conversation, started around the building of bridges. And one fine gentleman said कि engineers जो होते हैं वो देश का आज बनाते हैं, and वो होते हैं जो पुल बनाते हैं, वो होते हैं जो सड़कें बनाते हैं. And then in the same breath he told me, और जो scientists होते हैं वो भविष्य बनाते हैं, they make the future. So this is something that we all are respectful to both of you, to your community, and to all your team members who put in a lot of effort, and behind the scenes they work so hard, and the spectacle that we would be seeing on 14th is something which is very rare, and we all appreciate that. One final word from you, Mr. Raju, on the fact that uh, how does it go down, with the scientific community when efforts like these are put in, when events like these happen? What is the general perception? Are there other plans also in place, to keep the ball rolling?
Yes, certainly. It cannot stop here. It's only a beginning for
Mm-hmm.
going for extra galactic missions like Chandrayaan.
Mm-hmm.
And you have already seen even now the Mars orbiter mission is in working condition, and there are a lot of interest among. See, normally ISRO calls for
Mm-hmm.
announcement of opportunity (AO). That means they will give you data free of cost, provided you justify, yes, I will use this kind of research. So this
Mm-hmm.
is one beginning of all the academic institutions, even private partners and government agencies,
Mm-hmm.
looking for signs out of all the mission that had taken place so far.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next, in my view, is also going on today in the generally in space domain is to go and explore the Venus, explore the Sun. You know that if ISRO is planning to launch Aditya L1,
Mm-hmm.
and certainly there are a lot of queries from the students. When will we get this data? What kind of data do we get? How do we analyze? How can we prepare for these things? This is the kind of enthusiasm coming from the young students, younger generation. There are PhD students who have taken up some jobs, some topics related to scientific applications of remote sensing, astronomy, as well
Mm-hmm.
as technology. For
Right.
example, NAVIC. For example, in my own experience, NAVIC, the National Satellite Constellation, has already been very successful with university students. ISRO
Mm-hmm.
has generously given a lot of these devices free of cost, And many people, many students have written very good papers. They've been able to make their presence felt through these offers, through the announcement of opportunity, not only that, it availability of data, and certainly we will hope that more and more data will come from, as Dr. Jackie already told, orbiter is already working in space,
Right.
and we are getting, there are 8 instruments, wonderful instruments. Some of them are
Absolutely.
really good. Some of them are
Absolutely.
trying to find out the data related to the availability of moon, availability of water on moon. Chandrayaan detected the availability, but now how much? That is
Right.
the kind of question mark, that is the kind of enthusiasm that is being generated amongst the scientists.
Right.
Because once you go there, like some of the countries are using it as a launch base for efficient launching for higher levels. Moon can be a launch base, and for which you need to survive there for long duration.
Right.
There is so need water. But one of the
Right.
major scientific aspects being looked for is how much water. How can I generate any some some projects are also, some people are also talking about generating solar panels
True.
from water
True.
available from the material on the surface of the moon itself. It's a wonderful proposition. We
Right.
look forward to it. And we should encourage our students, our younger generation, our own startups to simulate the moon surface, not only measure. What you get from Pragna is only a sample, it's an in situ measurement. To confirm what orbiter is looking at. This is only to confirmation. But in the larger sense, when you want
Yes.
to make the scale bigger, you must know how much more research is required on the surface of the moon itself. Apart from that, there are enthusiasms regarding the Aditya L1 mission. There is a solar wind. We might have heard daily. We get some information about the solar winds, solar flares that are disturbing your communication, that is
Right.
disturbing many of the installations. There are some fears. There are some concerns. I won't say fear, concerns about what will happen in the near future. So let us look at the solar, activities themselves. And
Right.
there is enough enthusiasm about Venus.
Uh-huh.
Venus is a very, very harsh climate. It has got a very harsh climate. The
Yes.
temperature is 300 plus. It
Yes,
melts.
Mr. Raju.
Yes. So this
Absolutely,
is,
we can. Well, in this case, we can't say even sky is the limit here because we are definitely planning to go beyond that. Mr. Tyagi, your views before we close the show.
I think that's a beginning because the space mission has really created enthusiasm among the youngsters, not only in the scientific community, even the general public also, and it will be giving a great motivation to our younger generation to go into or adopt the career of space science. Space science is not only because if you start a journey to the moon or to interplanetary mission, then you also know the biology. So there are a lot of offshoot of this space science in terms of astrophysics, astrobiology, etc., etc. So there will be many more options. So let's see that and fly our imagination to make it a reality. And this is a beginning on 14th. I think that the first step will be on 14th, around I think 2:30, if I'm correct,
Yes,
out of
sir,
this
around that
launching.
time. Right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking time out. And also on News9 Live, let me assure you and reassure you that this is the beginning and not just about the launches and the space expeditions that ISRO would be launching. Time and again, we keep revisiting the aspect of science and technology in this space here on News9 Live. And thank you so much, all the viewers and the guests, for joining us. Mr. B.K. Tyagi, Scientist D, Principal Scientific Officer, Vikram Sarabhai, Government of India, and Mr. G. Raju, former Senior Scientist of ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. Thank you so much for taking time out. It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. And before we bid you farewell here, we are playing out once again that small clipping from the ISRO, which obviously is part of a larger picture on Chandrayaan and the plans that ISRO has to go beyond the moon. Let's take a look.
कि हमें भी अपने पदचिन्ह बनाने होंगे। यह 22 अक्टूबर 2008 का दिन था। भारत ने अपने अंतरिक्ष कार्यक्रम के एक नए अध्याय की शुरुआत की। चंद्रयान 1 सफलतापूर्वक लॉन्च किया गया। इसके गौरवमयी कार्यकाल में इस मिशन ने एक ऐतिहासिक खोज दर्ज कराई। हमने चंद्रमा पर पानी खोज निकाला और अब आगे कुछ भी पहले जैसा नहीं रह जाएगा। चंद्रयान 1 ने विज्ञान को एक नया दृष्टिकोण दिया, सबका ध्यान और सम्मान अपनी ओर खींचा। लेकिन हमारे लिए यह यात्रा सिर्फ एक शुरुआत है। यह एक नई दुनिया की खोज में हमारा पहला कदम था, जो वास्तव में हमें अपने ही बारे में बताता है। यह मानव जाति के उन सवालों के जवाब देने की शुरुआत थी जो वह हमेशा पूछती रहती है। पिछले 10 वर्षों के दौरान देश भर से हजारों लोग सिर्फ एक